policeman isn't there to create disorder. The policeman is there to preserve disorder.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
In the 10th Amendment of the Constitution, in which it says that powers not expressly given to the federal government are reserved to the states.
Isn't that cute? But it's wrong!
Okay, so now if you control the oil, you control the nation. The bank used the Rockefellers to form an oil company called Standard Oil way back in the day. Standard Oil eventually took over all its competition, and it was the largest oil refiner in the world, operated as a company trust, selling bonds. It was one of the first multinational corporations until the Supreme Court of the United States broke up this monopoly in 1911. But only a couple of years after that, America still was lost to the bank when the Federal Reserve Bank was established in 1913, which brings us finally to if you rule the money, you rule the world. The Federal Reserve is a private bank owned by private shareholders. It is no more government than Chuck E. Cheese, and all IRS taxes go to it. Not one dime of federal income tax funds a single government function. It all goes to the bank. In a nutshell, it works like this. The Mint prints money for the Federal Reserve Bank. The bank loans the money to all the smaller banks with interest, which loans money to the people with interest. The Fed doesn't print money, the Treasury does, but the Fed controls the Treasury and the Mint. In essence, they tell the government to print money, then they loan it to the government and charge interest, and then the government taxes you to pay for it. And add that to now we have more erroneous debt in the form of credit cards. Just made up money, made up debt. That's how we're in bondage, people.
Do you think it would cause problems for the Fed or for the economy if that legislation was to pass?
My concern about the legislation is that if the GAO is auditing not only the operational aspects of our programs and the details of the programs, but is making judgments about our policy decisions, that would effectively be a takeover of monetary policy by the Congress, a repudiation of the independence of the Federal Reserve, which would be highly destructive to the stability of the financial system, the dollar, and our national economic situation.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen from Tennessee. Thank you.
To see how deep this goes, we have to go way back. It all started at Waterloo in 1815 when rich bankers from Germany, the Rothschilds, financed both sides of the Napoleonic Wars between the French and the British. Kind of like if you were playing poker against yourself, placing the bet, setting the odds, who wins? Well, the Brits won the war, but the Rothschilds got word to England that they in fact lost. The bankers started selling English stocks because to manipulate it, to make it seem like it was worth less than it really was. The English money would soon be worthless. When the stock fell to almost nothing, they bought it all right back up, essentially buying England for nothing. But England still owed the Rothschilds for their war debt. Since the British had begun paying taxes directly to the private bankers, they've been paying taxes ever since and still pay to this day. It's like Nathaniel Rothschild said, "If I can control the nation's wealth, I care not who makes its laws." And this is the situation that we face today. Go back and listen to what Bernanke said. An audit would be destructive to the financial system, the dollar, and the economy. Well, whose financial system? Whose dollar? Their economy? We will forever pay in the form of taxes the interest on borrowed debt from the Federal Reserve. If we don't return to a gold standard and put our own monetary future in our own hands.
If you read the Federalist Papers correctly, the fact is the Congress can pass a law and can limit the court's jurisdiction. It's written directly in the Constitution. The Federalist Papers, Alexander Hamilton promises, I think it's number 78, that The judiciary branch is the weakest of the three branches. There is no Supreme Court in the American Constitution. There's the court which is the supreme of the judicial branch. But it's not supreme over the legislative and executive branch. We now have this entire national elite that wants us to believe that any 5 lawyers are a constitutional convention. That is profoundly un-American and profoundly wrong.
What's behind that mask?
Das war ein Befehl! Der Angriff Steiners war ein Befehl! Wer schickt sie? Belogen sogar die SS!
Talking about the government and how it's arranged, divided in 3 like a circus. Ring 1, executive, 2 is legislative, that's Congress. Ring 3, judiciary, see, it's kinda like my circus. Step right up and visit ring number 1. The show's just begun, meet the president. I am here to see that the laws get done. The ringmaster of the government. On with the show! Hurry, hurry, hurry to ring number 2. See what they do in the Congress. Passing laws and juggling bills. Oh, it's quite a thrill in the Congress. Focus your attention on ring number 3. The judiciary's in the spotlight. The courts take the laws and they tame the crimes, balancing the wrongs with your rights. No one part can be more powerful than any other is. Each controls the other, you see, and that's what we call checks and balances.
And this is gonna draw episode 1 to a close. I really hope you enjoyed. I hope you would like to see more. I am going to end on this note, and how I think it's very ironic that a president whose dying words were, "I killed the bank," preventing America from having a central bank, his face is on a $20 Federal Reserve note.